So last episode, we spent a lot of time talking about how we messed up. But what we didn't spend a lot of time talking about was the consequences of the mess up. So the first consequence went to the serpent that deceived Eve. What's interesting is that God gave Adam and Eve the opportunity to explain themselves. The serpent got no such chance. God jumped straight to giving him that work. God said the serpent was cursed above every other animal on earth. He was going to crawl on his belly and eat dust. And if that wasn't enough, God promised that his offspring and the woman's offspring was going to be at war, and the woman's offspring was going to bust his head. I ain't lying. Go read it. Then he cursed the woman to have intense labor pains. I don't know if you ever seen a baby being born, but I imagine that most women with kids want a two-piece Eve when they see her. He also cursed her to desire her husband, but to be ruled over by him. I talked all about this in episode 7. If you still got the wrong impression, you just want to have the wrong impression. Then we come to the consequences for the man. Let's find out what we got served up. Let's see. On the menu for men, we have the ground gets cursed. Not sure what the ground did. We will eat from it with painful labor all the days of our life. It produces thorns and thistles for us just to make sure that farming is extra difficult. And we will eat bread by the sweat of our brow until we return to the ground we came from. Sounds delicious, doesn't it? And literally the next thing you read after the curse gets put down is that the man gave his wife the name Eve, which, when you really think about it, make it feel like that curse started working quick. But we also don't know how long it was before he gave her the name Eve. Now, I don't want y'all to get it twisted. I know it's a whole bunch of details I'm skipping over. Get you one of these and read them if you want. I highly recommend it. But I'm trying to hit the stuff that's the most important. And the next thing that God do is way more important than it seemed on the surface. Just before he kicked them out the garden, he made them clothes out of skin. Them leaves they tried to sew together to cover up the fact that they sinned wasn't gonna cut it. So God covered them with skin instead. Usually when you see the word skin used, that Hebrew word for skin usually means animal skins. The idea of us trying to cover up our mess with something that ain't good enough is kind of a running theme up in here. Y'all kids that grew up in church don't give away the plot twist. So now that we done messed up, God said we gotta get up out of his garden. The reason he say we gotta go is because he don't want us to eat from the tree of life and live forever. Now I can already hear folks getting in their feelings, talking about how that ain't fair. I mean, I ain't got no garden to kick nobody out of, but I can kinda understand that. But think about it. Would you wanna live forever in this world? Imagine an eternity of all of the crap we deal with on a day-to-day basis. You think people will stop being trash if all of a sudden they got to live forever? So God kicked them out of the garden. Then he did something kind of strange. At the end of chapter 3, it says that he put cherubim and a flaming sword that turns in every direction to keep the way to the tree of life. When I was a kid, I read that and I just thought, oh, he just did that to keep man out the garden. But when you start reading about angels as you go through the Bible, that don't make sense. So in most of the Bible, you see angels just called, well, angels. Sometimes the very special angels might be called something else. Cherubim, seraphim, archangels, and so on. But the Bible don't have a lot to say about them. So we don't know a whole lot about what an angel actually is. One thing we do know is that when things get real, angels ain't who you want to play with. I usually try not to jump ahead, but I'm gonna make an exception just to make my point. So there was this army that decided they was gonna run up on God's people back in the day. They was camped outside the night before the battle, and while they was asleep, one angel killed 185,000 people. The next day they turned around and went home. I don't know what kind of angel that was, and the Bible don't go no further than to just call him an angel, but no special title. He put multiple angels, specifically cherubim, and some kind of flaming sword to keep the way to the tree of life. I get the impression that whatever God is keeping away from the garden is way more dangerous than man. I'm gonna tell you now, we got a whole lot more episodes to go before we even get close to unpacking that. Like, literally, that don't get explained until we get close to the end of the book. But I promise, that plot twist is worth it. Alright, man, this video done went long enough, so I'm gonna wrap it up. But as always, I'll see y'all next week. Peace, and I hope y'all people straight.